Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Glumcraft4652, posted in r/relationships by Hygh17W, posted August 1st, 2015. Stepfather, 44 male, slapped my sister, 14 female, across the face, and I, 16 male, shouted at him. Now Mom, 42 female, wants us to apologize to him. Mom married him 5 years ago. Generally, it's been fine. He never got involved in our affairs and always was neutral in whatever issue. He always left our mom to deal with us, which is what you're supposed to do, I guess. However, he's become a little angry and tense these past 6 months or so. I don't know why, but he's never hit us before. 2 nights ago, my sister was talking to my mom about going to a camping trip with her friend's family, and my mom was saying no. Sister was insisting and was upset and frustrated that mom was not allowing it, and told her that she's unfair and she doesn't want her to have fun. He was there too. He told my sister to be respectful to her mom, and this conversation is over. My sister was upset and told him that he's so mean today. Well, he was a little moody earlier that day and made a comment about TV volume earlier as well. He suddenly just slapped my sister across the face, strong enough to put her to the ground, not strong enough to leave bruises. I don't think my mom saw this directly. She had her back towards them. She was putting something in the fridge or something. I was seeing this and jumped towards my sister. He was approaching her. I don't know why, but I was angry and shouted at him to stay the fuck away from her. I took my sister back to her room upstairs and stayed there with her until she fell asleep. We could hear him and Mom arguing downstairs. Yesterday morning, he left very early for work before we woke up. Mom didn't say much. We spent the evening in our rooms and didn't come down at all. I was thinking he should come and apologize to my sister. Well, Mom came late at night and told us both that we need to apologize to him. My sister for calling him mean, and me for shouting at him. I can't believe it. I understand that I shouldn't have shouted, but it was a reaction to him hitting my little sister. What did he expect me to do? Let him go toward my sister right after hitting her? Mom said that she expects us to apologize to him in the morning, but we didn't come down for breakfast at all. Mom came up and asked, "What's up?" And I told her that I won't apologize until he apologizes to my sister. And she told her that she wants an apology from him. Mom told me that my sister is just rebelling because of me, and this is bad for her. They're at work now, and we'll be back in the afternoon. Should we just apologize and get it over with? I think he's in the wrong way more than we are. Too long didn't read, sister called stepdad mean. He slapped her across the face and I shouted, "Stay the fuck away from her." Now Mom wants me and my sister to apologize to him. Top/relevant comments. User Maxwell Miller. Has your mother ever hit you? Is this the kind of discipline she considers normal? Don't apologize and let her or both of them know that this isn't going to be tolerated by either of you. It will just continue if you apologize because he will take your apology as, "I can get away with it." If they refuse to accept that what he did was wrong, I'd file assault charges. He needs to know it isn't right, and it's not going to happen again. There are too many instances where mothers put new boyfriends/husbands before their kids. You stood up for your sister, which is awesome, and shows you're strong enough to do what needs to be done. Don't give in. OP responds, Mom has never hit us. Her way of discipline is typically grounding or taking privileges away. I think my mom puts him before us. He gets priority on everything. Deleted user. Is your bio dad in the picture? Do you guys have other adult family members in your lives? I would tell an aunt, uncle, or grandparents. Maybe an adult can talk some sense into your mom. Honestly, that man has no right to lay his hands on you guys, and your reaction was justified. Words, no matter how bad, do not justify violence. Them demanding an apology for that is pretty manipulative and wrong. OP responds, No, bio dad doesn't care about us at all, but our grandparents live an hour away. They're always very nice to us, but mom doesn't like it if we tell them about what goes on in our home. I don't know if I should call them. It can make her even more angry. User Joker LOL. Absolutely don't apologize. I'd have done the exact same thing if anyone ever hit my brother. Well, actually, I have. One of my uncles once raised his hand to hit my brother. He was around 12 and I was 16. And I jumped in, screamed at him, and took my brother away. Hitting a kid hard is never okay. User Flumeby comments, on Monday, tell someone at your school, or her school, even if you aren't back at school yet. It's quite likely that both of your schools have the full office staff working there for at least part of the day. Ask to speak to a principal, vice principal, or guidance counselor, and tell them that it's an urgent matter about your home life. If your mom feels financially dependent on your stepdad, that would explain why she's reluctant to lose him. Even if, as you seem to indicate at the beginning of your post, something is going wrong in their marriage. Final update, 3 days later. Thanks everyone, you are very helpful. I called my grandparents on Saturday afternoon and told them everything. I had taken a few pictures from my sister that night and emailed them those pictures as well. They were pissed off and angry at him and my mom for not standing up for us. They told me to stay upstairs and don't apologize and they will come over on Sunday morning. So we did that. My mom came to talk to us again on Saturday evening, insisted that we can go apologize and we can all forget that it happened. But we kept refusing until she gave up. Later that night, my mom came back up to talk to me again and wanted me to end this rebellion, as she put it, saying that it won't lead to anything good and it just makes things worse. I told her that I'm just protecting sister. She said, it's my job, not yours. I said, clearly, you're not doing it well enough, so I'm gonna have to do it. She gave up again. So grandparents came over on Sunday evening. Mom and stepfather were home as well. We were upstairs and couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could hear that my grandparents were very angry. I don't know what happened, but after a while, my mom came up and asked us to come down. We went down and stepfather apologized to my sister and said it won't happen again, and that he will make it up to us. My grandfather told me to let him know ASAP if something like this happened again. After they left, my mom looked very angry at me, but didn't say anything. P.S. I didn't call the police in the end. I was afraid to make the situation worse and make a much larger mess. I thought involving grandparents is enough, and they know better whether to call the police or not. Too long didn't read, I called the grandparents. They came over and talked to them. Stepfather apologized after that and said it won't happen again. Top and relevant comments. Malika T.A. Way to go! Good you took pictures. Do it again if something like this happens and let the grandparents know immediately. They seem like very nice people who care about you two. Deleted user comments. Great ending, thank God for the grandparents. She said, it's my job, not yours. I said, clearly you're not doing it well enough, so I'm gonna have to do it. You're an amazing brother. Major props to you. User Seiya Intenshi. Good job, but I do warn, please be careful. It sounds like your stepfather may have been just saying that to get the grandparents gone. I'm glad you're protecting your sister, though. You keep doing the right thing. I get the vibe that Slap was 100% a test. Testing the waters, testing to see what he could get away with, and it may not have started that way, but after he made the choice to strike his stepdaughter, it became that. Because then it's, I didn't do anything wrong, you two did something wrong. I was just reacting to what you two did and you two should apologize. But if he's forced to apologize, he admits fault in the situation. So instead, that's why it was so desperate for the roles to be reversed and for him to become the victim in the situation, despite striking a 14-year-old like a fucking monster. When OP mentioned that the mother didn't like it when the grandparents got involved in their personal affairs, that was an immediate red flag in my eyes because that just tells me the mother knows that what happens in that household is unacceptable. That shit beyond what we've heard here from OP that occurs would cause her to receive ire from the family. That's why it's bad if OP talks to the grandparents about the ongoings of the family. Because then, someone's there to hold the mother accountable beyond two children who she can just dismiss as being opinionated and rebellious teens. I guarantee you it was the stepfather that probably used the term rebellious the first time when the mother was just repeating it, trying to essentially gaslight her into saying, this is just their rebellious phase, you don't understand, and so on and so forth. Honestly, the saddest part about all of this is that while OP and his sister held their ground and didn't apologize, I can almost guarantee that there's probably 99 other cases where they did apologize. And after they apologized, it validated the stepfather's behavior or the abusive parent's behavior. Considering this post was more than a decade ago, I can only hope that OP, as an adult, has distanced himself from the mother and the stepfather, because that's what they deserve. If you're out there, OP, I hope you and your sister are doing well. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." The original OP is Airpass, posted to r/relationships February 2nd, 2016. Me, 27 female, with my boyfriend, 50 male, of 3 months. His kid warned me about him. Red flag? ? I have been dating Jesse for about 3 months. It's been a bit of a whirlwind romance. Jesse is the kind of guy I've always wanted. Confident and smart and makes me feel like a princess. The sex is great, and I feel like we have a deep connection. Last Friday, Jesse and I went out and ran into his son, Julian, 19, at the bar. Julian shouldn't have been there as he is underage, so I assume he had a fake ID. Jesse was excited to see him, but Julian seemed like he didn't want to see Jesse at all. It was very awkward. Later, while Jesse was talking to someone he knew from work, Julian approached me. He told me, "He'll get tired of you. He won't care about you anymore and just see you as something he has to spend money on. Then he'll find something new. He always does." He said he was sorry, and then left the bar. I didn't know how to respond, so I talked to Jesse. He told me how his ex-wife and stepdaughters had poisoned Julian against him. I've always known Jesse to be very generous, so I don't believe the money part is true. But I do know that Jesse hardly ever spends time with his son. He says Julian won't answer his calls or texts and avoids him. Jesse also works a significant amount and finds it difficult to balance his time. How do I know if this is a red flag or not? This kid could just have a warped perception of his father, but I can't help but feel badly for Julian. He seemed really sad at the bar. Too long didn't read, boyfriend's kid warned me at the bar. How to respond? Relevant/top comments. Commenter 1. Julian's mother said ex-wife? It would be pretty messed up to me if a biological child chose his stepmother and stepsisters over his father. And that would be a serious red flag to me. OP responds, "She is the mother. His sisters are half-siblings." Commenter 2. I'm always surprised at just how biased this subreddit is against relationships with age gaps. It's not like you're 18 and he's preying on your inexperience. You're a grown woman. There is nothing inherently wrong with the age gap in your relationship. Anyway, never let someone else into your relationship. This kid clearly has an agenda, and he probably doesn't have your best interest at heart. This is supported by the fact that Jesse's excitement to see his son only went one way. There's bitterness there, and it's not coming from Jesse. Keep Julian's words in mind in case you see any other red flags, like how did Jesse's previous relationships go? But don't let those words supersede your gut feeling about the relationship. OP responds, I'm not worried about the age difference, a little surprised by the responses toward it. Them running into each other was weird. Jesse was excited, but he didn't ask why Julian was drinking underage at the bar. It didn't seem to bother him. Julian drove afterwards as well, and he didn't seem drunk, but I was surprised Jesse didn't say anything. He also didn't seem to notice that Julian seemed awkward running into us. Until I mentioned what Julian told me, he didn't seem to have any idea that the encounter was so awkward. I just feel like it could go either way so easily. Julian doesn't seem like a bad kid, but Jesse doesn't seem like a bad guy either. Does it have to be one or the other? Commenter 3. He's 50 years old and chasing after a 27-year-old? Listen to his son. Someone that feels too good to be true usually is. Commenter 4. You are 27, he is 50. He's with you because you're significantly younger and have a better body and a higher sex drive than women his own age. Open your eyes. If Julian were 12, then maybe don't believe him. But he's 19. Had his mom poisoned him against Jesse, then Julian would have come to the realization by now that his mom was lying. Update. May 5th, 2016. 3 months later. Hi r/relationships. It's been a couple of months since my last post. Thanks for all the advice, even though it was tough to hear. I ended up deciding to move forward with the relationship, but keep an eye out for any other red flags. To backtrack, early in our relationship, I got a text from a friend of mine that he had seen Jesse at the local strip club. I spoke to Jesse about it, and he said he did not consider it cheating because he did not get lap dances or touch the dancers. I let him know then that I would let it slide, but in the future, I am not okay with him going to strip clubs without talking to me about it first. He agreed, but I kept noticing he would be out working late. He told me he had an emergency, flood, and had to work late, and I ended up seeing him at a gas station that I was driving by. I stopped and talked to him, and he said he had just gotten off work, but he smelled like cigarettes and alcohol, and his clothes weren't dirty like they typically are when he works flood damages. I also noticed he was very protective of his work phone. He leaves his other cell phone out all the time, but once I asked to use his work phone to look something up, and he basically told me no, and to go get my phone charging in the other room. It all just built up, so I snooped. I got up in the middle of the night when I was staying at his place and looked through both phones. On his work phone, I found texts to escorts and strippers. On his other cell, I found a ton of texts to his ex-wife who he promised me he didn't talk to anymore unless it was about Julian. Apparently, she just started dating again a month ago, and he absolutely shredded her for it. He said some very cruel things, like, "You must have found a guy who loves fat asses if he'll be seen with you." She never replied, as far as I can tell. Looking at those texts, I knew that any future with Jesse was going to end like this. I also saw that he never messages Julian. What's worse, their text feed is Julian reaching out every couple months and getting ignored. One text from a few months ago was Julian telling him that his band had a gig and asking if he would come. I remember that weekend. Me and Jesse stayed in that night and had a bunch of sex. He never even mentioned his son had a show. I felt sick. I went online and bought 10 copies of his band's EP a few days later. In the end, I decided to just ghost him. He obviously had no respect for our relationship, and I felt I didn't owe him anything. When he was at work, I got all my things out of his apartment and left a note. I just wrote that his family was right about him and to not contact me again. He texted me later that he had an emergency and had to work late. He obviously hadn't seen my note, and I just didn't respond. The next day, he found the note and started messaging me about it. I decided to take a page from his ex-wife's book and ignore him. As the week moved on and he realized I was serious, the messages started getting hateful. Things I don't care to repeat. I blocked his number then. It is disturbing for me to think about what a cruel and vicious person he ended up being. If Julian hadn't talked to me at that bar, how much longer would it have taken me to see this side of him? I also have this weird, guilty feeling that I'm a homewrecker, even though Jesse obviously wrecked his home himself. I really thought of me and Jesse as having a potential for a long-term relationship. It hurts to have those hopes crushed. I'm not getting any younger. I got a lot of comments last post about the age gap. I'm not really interested in that. I know several couples with significant age gaps. I'm a grown woman, not a teenager, and I can choose to date someone older. Hopefully it won't be an asshole next time. Too long didn't read, my ex-boyfriend's son was right about him. I'm feeling lost and second-guessing myself, but at least we aren't together anymore. Edit, thanks for teaching me a lesson. This is a painful time for me. I won't be responding to any more comments or PMs. Thanks. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Good on you for getting out. Think about dropping a note to Julian so that you can thank him for the warning. The kid might feel better for knowing that his warning helped someone for once. Besides, it can be validating when dealing with an abusive asshole to have someone else go, "Yep, he's a jerk all right, and you are right." OP responds, "I did consider it, but I felt like I'm probably the last person he wants to hear from." Commenter 2. The age difference is a big thing. Do you relate to someone who's 23 years older than you? If you intend to be with this person for the foreseeable future, have you considered that in 10 years, when you're not even 40 yet, he'll be 60? Yes, you are a grown woman, but why so much older? There's a reason people are making comments. But you are right. It's your life. If you're not interested in advice, don't take it, or ask for it. OP responds, I obviously don't see myself with him in the future because I broke it off with him. So here's kind of a fun little thought experiment to throw your guys' way. At what point do you take the son's word over your partner's in terms of red flags and when to trust it? Because in any situation where, like, you're in a relationship and their son or daughter tells you, hey, by the way, the person you're dating, they suck, dude. Like, what circumstances would cause you to either disregard the opinion or to fully believe it and begin being suspicious immediately? Would you instantly cut things off, or would you do what OP did and, keep your cards close to your chest and be prepared for anything? Also, where's the cutoff point in terms of age where you just wouldn't take anything they say seriously? I'm also half expecting this question from me just to start a ton of fights in the comment section. So, let's see. I mean, hell, who knows? Maybe you guys will actually be a unified front unlike Reddit is. Who knows? This post was collected by Lucy Aria Rose, and their tagline is, I'm keeping the garlic. The original OP is T-Rex, posted in r/relationships. May 9th, 2016. My 36 female, with my ex-boyfriend, 36 male, of over 10 years. His wife, 40 female, has alienated him from all of his friends and family, and has started messaging me on Facebook. A little background. Sorry there's lots of text and names. I'll try to keep this as clear as possible. My ex-boyfriend, Bill, and I were together for 10 years, from the ages of 15 to 25. We lived together for the last 5 years of the relationship. We broke up very amicably with zero hard feelings. We just realized that we had both grown up into two very different people than we were at 15. I'm still friendly with his mother and his brother, Fred 39 male, through Facebook. Bill is also friends with my family members, and we have lots of mutual friends. After we broke up, we remained friends, and a couple of years later, I met my wonderful husband, 38 male, and I now have a gorgeous little girl, 4. Bill also met his current wife, Fiona, around the same time I met my husband. We both met each other's spouses and have gotten along well. Over time, Bill and I grew even further apart and only exchanged niceties over Facebook once in a while. Again, no hard feelings, it's all part of growing up. The problem started when I fell pregnant with my daughter. Bill and Fiona have had trouble conceiving, and while I sympathize with the struggle they're having, it has started affecting their relationships with our mutual friends. Fiona started getting a little unhinged, for lack of a better term, when she found out I was pregnant and told Bill he couldn't contact me anymore. I didn't really care. I understand it must be hard for her, so I didn't say anything at all, as it's none of my business. After that, she started defriending and blocking all of our mutual friends who were pregnant or had kids. This hurt my best friend's, Anne, feelings, as she was also Bill's best friend. Anne moved across the country, and Fiona told Bill that he couldn't see Anne when she came to visit, which hurt Anne even more. I got pissed at Bill, and even though I wanted to stay out of it, I had to tell him how much he hurt Anne. He told me that he would make an effort next time she visited, but he never did. Now, Fiona and Bill have moved halfway around the world to Australia. She has cut off all contact with his family. Bill's older brother Fred had a baby recently, and Fiona instantly defriended Fred and his wife as well as Bill and Fred's mother. She refuses to let Bill spend time with his family over the holidays and wouldn't let him stay with his family when he came back to visit without her. I have largely stayed out of this because I do not want to get involved with the crazy. But recently, Fiona has started emailing me. She got my email from Bill's account and has told me that I should stop talking to all our mutual friends so she can add them back on Facebook. What the ever-loving fuck? She's also telling me very personal details about their relationship and asking my advice, which is just crazy. She wants me to write up a statement that says that my ex has autism. He doesn't, so she can give it to his doctor. I haven't responded to any of her emails, and oh, that's not good at all. Oh, that's really not fucking good. Oh, that is scary. I haven't responded to any of her emails, and I don't know what to do. I have had zero contact with Bill over the last 2 years, since I talked to him about Anne, and am getting all this information from our mutual friends. This woman is obviously disturbed, and as much as I want to stay out of it, she's hurting people I care about. and I think might be emotionally abusing my ex, who may be a pushover but is a genuinely nice guy. What can I do to help him, Reddit? I'm 100% sure she's reading his emails and Facebook, so I can't message him privately. Also, he lives in another country, so I can't try to meet up with him. There is definitely something wrong with her, and I want to try to help her out too. Too long didn't read. I think my ex-boyfriend is being emotionally manipulated by his wife, who is alienating him from his friends and family. I want to help him, but don't know how. The reason why I said oh no is because some countries will see an autism diagnosis as justification for conservatorship. Some of OP's comments. Commenter: I would forward all the messages first to his family asking if they know what's going on. Next, I would forward them to Bill's email saying you got these messages and are really worried. Even if she can see them, she knows that she can't get to him through you. Unfortunately, what you can do is limited. They're in a different country. You don't have any means of communication. You could call the police in that country, but I don't know if they'll be able to do anything. Ultimately, he's an adult, so unless there's proof that she's abusing him or holding him against his will, there's not much you or his family and friends can do. OP responds, good idea, I'll do that. I'm just worried he's being abused or she'll lash out at him somehow. Commenter: maybe reach out with your concerns to Fred, since you stayed friendly with him. I'm sure he has similar reservations about Fiona, and maybe you validating them will help him support Bill as he deals with his wife's issues and/or abuse. I don't know what else you can do, since they live far away and you don't have any contact with Bill. OP responds, I talked to Fred recently to congratulate him about the baby. I casually asked about how Bill was doing, and that's when I learned about how he's not allowed to stay with his folks when he visits. Fred is pissed off, rightfully so, and wants nothing to do with Fiona or Bill. I'll forward the emails to him anyway, so at least the family has a record of it. OP confirms. Yep, you read that right. She wants me to stop talking to my friends of 20 plus years so she can browse Facebook without having to see anything to do with me. We're too old for Facebook drama bullshit. To a longer comment, which while not included in the best of, I'm going to include anyways. One of my exes, years back, started dating a really toxic woman shortly after we broke up, but remained friends. It started small, isolation, pitting herself against his family and friends to make him choose, etc. Then it became crazy. Physical, psychological, and verbal abuse, lies to police and family and friends, threatening, cheerful, paranoid messages to his family and friends depending on what mood she was in. It was horrible to watch that happen to someone I cared about. Eventually, he and I just stopped talking. It was easier for him to just do what she wanted. The thing is, when all that was going on, all I could do was make sure that he and anyone else that might be affected were aware of what was going on. Forwarding her messages, warning mutual friends if they were mentioned, making sure his family was aware of what was happening. I was friends with his sister. Make sure he knew that I would always be around to support him if he ever wanted to get out of that situation, and tell him about resources in our community for victims of domestic violence. Everything else was up to him. It was the same with Bill. He will ultimately have to decide when he just can't do it anymore and needs to get out. Right now, it seems like you've done what you can. If you have any contact with Bill further, I would just let him know that you'll be happy to help/support him if need be, and that he still has friends. Everything else is up to him. I think you're handling this pretty well though. It seems like you have a level head on your shoulders, and haven't let this pull you into the craziness. Keep maintaining a distance, that's my best advice. OP responds, thanks, I'm so sorry that happened to your ex. I'm going to try to find a way of letting him know that I'll be here to support him when he wants it. Almost all of his friends and most of his family have stopped contacting him because of Fiona. Even my husband is worried about him. Like I said before, Bill may be spineless, but this is so unlike him. He's always been really social and family-oriented. He loved spending time with his brother and parents, and we used to go on holiday with them every year. So I know something is wrong. Update post, June 15th, 2016. A bit over a month later. Hi, even though my original post didn't get a lot of attention, there were some good responses, and I thought I would update everyone, as a lot has happened in the last couple of weeks. So I forwarded her message to my ex's brother, Fred. He called me immediately and said that he would try to get a hold of his brother as soon as possible. I forgot to say in my earlier post, but Bill works as an independent consultant/contractor in IT, so it was hard getting a hold of him in his workplace. Frank received a few responses from Bill, just short emails, saying he was okay. But Fred wasn't really buying it. Thankfully, I hadn't received any more messages from Fiona. I didn't reply to any of her emails, so I guess she gave up on me. I didn't think there was much more that anyone could do, so just got on with looking after my own family. My husband, let's call him Dan, knew that I was worried about my ex, and as a testament to what a great guy he is, he set about trying to contact him as they both work in the same field of IT. I know, apparently I have a very specialized type, lol. Dan is close to his boss and told him about the situation. Dan's boss contacted Bill through LinkedIn to set up a Skype consult. Dan's reasoning is that if Fiona is monitoring Bill's emails and social media, then this will fly under her radar as she doesn't know Dan's boss and his connection to us. My husband is a sneaky, clever bastard. They scheduled the call a day later, and my husband hopped onto the call as well. He didn't tell me exactly what he said, but the gist of it is that Dan and his boss told Bill that we were all worried about him, and that if he needed help, to just let us know. Bill broke down and started crying. He felt so helpless and thought that no one cared about him. Turns out, she was reading all his emails and deleted all the ones from his family as well as controlling all the finances. She was also physically assaulting him and was too embarrassed to tell anyone. She's just shy of 5 foot and he's 6'4". Dan and his boss told him to pack his bags and head to the airport, and they bought him a one-way ticket back home. Bill arrived home a week or so ago, and he's doing well. He's staying with his mother and father, and Fred has been helping him get back on his feet and handle the legal stuff. Needless to say, they are extremely grateful to my husband and his boss and have paid back the cost of the ticket, as well as buying Dan and his boss several bottles of very expensive bourbon, which they insisted on. We were happy to cover the ticket, but weren't going to argue with them. Dan and I told them that now that he's home, we were going to take a step back. His family is looking after him now, and they don't need our help anymore. We'll still keep in touch though, and I think we'll always be close to Bill and his family from now on. Fred did tell me that she doesn't want to come back home, so we don't have to worry about her turning up on our doorstep. I don't know how Fiona reacted. She hasn't sent me any emails, so I don't think she knows I was involved, or what's going to happen legally, because I don't want to be involved anymore. It's time we focused on our family for a bit because I'm pregnant. Couldn't have picked a better man to breed with. It's a weird way of putting it. Also, Dan's boss let Dan bill the hours of Bill's rescue as personal development because there are still decent people in the world. Too long didn't read, my instincts were right. Bill was being abused emotionally and physically by his crazy, now ex-wife. My husband and his boss staged an intervention under the guise of work and bought Bill a plane ticket home. Bill's doing fine, he's going to counseling, and everyone is giving him lots of support. My husband and I had fun times, and now I'm knocked up. Some of OP's comments. Commenter, A+ on this entire update. This post had everything. Travel, high-stakes job interviews, awesome boss, a supportive husband, good triumphing over crazy, Fiona stuck on a giant island, and pregnancy. Seriously, so glad Bill is safe, and I hope he goes into therapy and gets the support of his family. OP responds, not just any giant island, but a giant island infested with deadly spiders. Commenter, it's so great to hear a situation where so many people stepped in to help while keeping good boundaries. You don't see a lot of that in the sub. Congrats on the little one, I hope you have an easy pregnancy. Lofi responds, thanks, I'm currently face first in the toilet, but hopefully it'll get better soon. Babies are awesome, but being pregnant sucks hard. Final editor's note. Seeing as this was 9 years ago, I hope Bill is doing great, along with OP and her husband and their kids. Also, it's interesting to see how language and vernacular changed in the last decade. There is definitely a theme over the past couple of days of the kind of posts that have been recorded. That was an unintentional theme, but hopefully these will help people identify potential red flags in their own relationships and potentially grow from them. A lot of the times when we cover posts like these, we end up in a position where it's like, how can you not see that this is abuse? It's so obvious. But the problem is, like Bill here, you get isolated. Your worldview gets controlled. The information you receive is quite literally under review from your partner. Everything you see, everything you read, every experience you have is controlled, vetted, and approved by her. His outside worldview became so tainted that he genuinely believed no one cared for him. The purposeful isolation that Fiona was imparting on him was working. He fully believed the only person he had in his life was Fiona. And the problem is, there's no way for him to even double check that. If he emailed someone or texted someone, sounds like every piece of communication that he sent out was under review or under control. Not much would be stopping Fiona from giving a reply on behalf of Bill, or even worse, if Bill did send out an SOS, for the response to that SOS to be deleted, to only then further confirm the fact that Bill is alone. And when I say confirm, it's in quotes. The part that certainly concerns the hell out of me was the part where Fiona was trying to get him diagnosed with autism. Autism awareness has drastically evolved over the last decade, but in some areas it still hasn't evolved enough. I 100% think that Fiona was aiming to get Bill an autism diagnosis to increase the amount of control she had over him, but this time it would be fully legal, and there wouldn't be shit he could do about it. Thankfully though, it seems that OP was able to prevent this from being his fate. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.